Welcome, everybody, to the music show. I'm Ray Braselton, your host.
And I'm Nick Rita, co-host.
Today, we have for you How's That? It's a traditional country band. There's 3 people in the band, and I guess we could count a real fancy drum machine.
Yeah, you can almost count 4 because of the drum machine.
And we do a real nice segment, instrumental showcase segment on that, which you might want to see. But they play very nicely together. Basically, the singer being Rick Howe.
He plays bass.
Yeah. And then, of course, Mike Deidre, Deidre, I think it's the name.
Right.
Yeah.
Plays it.
And he plays guitar. He plays lead guitar.
Rhythm and lead too.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, right.
Real nice country lead.
Yeah.
And of course, Jimmy Steele Duvall, who's been on our show before.
Guess what he plays? Jimmy Steele.
Steel pedal. Right, steel pedal guitar.
Pedal,
and of course, he's played on the show twice before, at least.
Who did he play with before?
Well, the Ghost Riders.
The Ghost Riders, right.
But he was in with also, I believe, with another group. I can't remember.
Yeah, you get an instrument like the pedal steel that you don't see a lot of, and you could be well in demand.
Oh, and he is. Yeah. He is very well. The group plays different places. I think not the same place all the time. Right. I think they're pretty versatile in the different venues they play.
Yeah. And their traditional country is kind of like a real traditional.
Yeah, you got like probably songs similar to maybe Hank Williams songs. And, but they did do a couple on our show tonight. They do a couple of neat Western songs. And when I say Western, we're talking about maybe something along the lines of
Bob Wills?
Yes.
Did they do a Bob Wills
I don't know if they did a Bob Wills tonight or not, but something along the line of the older, cowboy and his horse westerns. So I think you'll
got a good rhythm,
like
nice timing. Everything is very professional, very good.
Yeah, I think you'll like it. Stay tuned for that. And of course, we have our other segments. Of course, Uncle Nick's Corner.
And you mentioned the showcase.
We mentioned the showcase.
With the drum machine.
And, and then, of course, our interview that we're going to have with them in the round table, which goes further into talking about Western and country music, which is all kinds of different
a lot of different genres
in that. So you might want to learn a little bit from that.
Seems as the longer a type of music is around, the more forms of it you see.
That's true.
It's like, with rock, it's been around for so long, you see so many different types of rock.
Yep.
Some of them not even reminiscent of the others.
Right.
Same thing in country.
Same thing in country,
So
right. So hang in.
I think it'll be a good show. You'll like it.
And we'll see you in a little bit here.
Okay.
Bye.
Afternoon, folks, or evening, wherever you are. I'm Rick Howe, and this is How's That? We have Jimmy Steele Duvall on pedal steel, and we have Mike Deidre on lead guitar, and our little electronic gizmo in the back is playing drums for us tonight. And we got a few songs we'd like to do for you right now. Here's a song that Ray Price did a long time ago. Johnny Tillotson did it on the pop charts, called Heartaches by the Number. By the score. Every day you love me less, each day I love you more. Yes, I've got heartaches by the numbers, a love that I can't win. But the day that I stop counting, that's the day my world will end. Here's the band now. come back to stay. With hopeful heart I waited for your knock on my door. I waited, but you must have lost your way. Now I've got heartaches by the number, troubles by the score. Every day you love me less, each day I love you more. Yes, I've got heartaches by the numbers, a love that I can't win. At the day that I stop counting, that's the day my world will end. Yes, the day that I stop counting, that's the day my world will end.
Welcome everybody to the music show and our interview of How's That? Is that right? How's That? The group How's That? And I guess we'll start out. Rick, you're kind of the unofficial leader here. You want to start out and give your name, and then we'll go over there. And
yeah, my name's Rick Howe. Jimmy named this band one night. We were sitting there. We've worked together a little bit lately, and I'm a singer. I've been singing around Rochester area for a long time.
Hi, I'm Mike Dearda from Rochester. I play the guitar, play in a variety of bands around town, and Rick asked me to come down and sing and play for him tonight, so I did.
I'm Jimmy Steele Duval. I play with Rick every chance I get, and we have a good time.
it's a good time band here, right? Yeah. And a couple of you have been on the show before, and we always invite our people back, because wouldn't have you on the show if we didn't think you were good, so you just brought somebody else with you today. And this, Rick, you did a good job. Really enjoy your, I would guess you'd call it traditional country.
Absolutely.
I'll let you talk right in the mic.
Absolutely. It's traditional country, old-time country. We do all kinds of varieties, but if I had my druthers, I'll sing country every time.
Yeah. Well, it's good music. It gives you a good, warm feeling inside. And I've always been partial to country music and sing a lot of it myself when I get a chance. But I guess I have a few questions for you, and then we'll talk a little bit about maybe how to get in contact with you and everything. First of all, I guess, like you said, you do play with other groups once in a while. And this group here has been playing for a short time, but I did get you over at Sandra's. That's in Rochester. Can you tell us a little bit about Sandra's?
It's a country bar down on Smith Street, probably one of the last vestiges of traditional country music you'll find around the area. And she's got music there every Friday night and sometimes on Saturdays as well. But yeah, it's a great place to listen to traditional country music.
But you do play all over. I mean, you play in Wayne County and Monroe County and just all over the Finger Lakes area, I assume.
Yeah. I work with bands also. I have a singles act that I do. I play in the Willow Inn on Manitou Road up in Braddock's Bay. I played Elks Clubs, Moose Clubs. I do a lot of retirement homes. I play a lot of shows for the Masonic fraternity. I'm a Mason, and Scottish Rite and the Shrine and all the different ones. And I keep busy. Playing church a lot as well, too.
Well, country groups, I always think of them as playing, campfires and, Roy Rogers and the Sons of the Pioneers and all the Western places. But there are different places that you guys play other than just campfires. And so it's, and we did catch you over at Sandra's. And she really talked highly about you, so we wanted to have you on the show. And Jimmy, you're the one that brought this to my attention. I thank you for that. A couple of questions. Just kind of curious, though. As a general rule, the age group is for this kind of music, which I call traditional country, is probably, our age on up, I would assume. But do you ever get any, once in a while, just for kicks, do you ever see any youngsters ever there? I mean, like, in their 20s?
Yeah, there's some. I've been more and more running into younger people that are really into country music. In country and then even into bluegrass. Bluegrass is getting to be very, very popular again. And I call that the jazz of country music. They're very progressive players, most of them, and there are a lot of good bluegrass bands around New York State. And in the traditional country, a lot of these kids understand it, know it, and they remember a lot of their songs from their moms and dads. But they enjoy it.
I think that plays a big part from their moms and dads, a lot of it. Although I know there is other country, which we're going to talk about later during the roundtable, everybody, about all the different types of country. And one is, well, there used to be country rock, but I think it's now called just country, I believe. I think, and they got the kids are really into that. We'll talk about that during the roundtable. Did you ever, let's see, I was going to ask if there were any other venues. I think we've covered pretty much everything I was going to ask you. We got a lot to talk to you about later. But I did want to make sure that everybody knew that you guys are available for hire, and maybe you could give us a phone number, and we'll put it right there on the screen. You'll see it as you're mentioning it on the show here. Just mention your contact number.
I have actually an email address, krhowe@frontiernet.net, and my phone number out in Brockport is 585-395-9233. And either way, you can get in touch with me and be happy to accommodate you in any way I can.
Well, we've enjoyed so much what you've done already. Let's continue on and with the rest of the show, everybody. Stay tuned. Here we go.
Our next selection it was written by Johnny Russell back many years ago when I first started singing a couple years back. This was a big hit, and I just actually learned it recently. I never did it when it was a hit. But it's called Catfish John. It goes something like this. Mama said, don't go near that river. Don't go hanging round old Catfish John. Come the morning, I'll always be here, walking in his footsteps in the sweet Delta dawn. Take me back to another morning, from a time so long ago, when the sweet magnolias blossomed, cotton fields were white as snow. Catfish John was a river hobo, lived down by the river bend. The heat magnolia blossom, I remember he was my friend. Mama said, don't go near that river. Don't be hanging round old Catfish John. Come the morning, I'll always be here, walking in his footsteps in the sweet Delta dawn. Traded for a chestnut mare, never heard him speak in anger, though his role was hard to bear. Mama said, don't go near that river, don't be hanging round old Catfish John. Come the morning, I'll always be there, walking in his footsteps in the sweet Delta dawn. Mama said, don't go near that river, don't be hanging round old Catfish John. Come the morning, I'll always be there, walking in his footsteps in the sweet Delta dawn.
Well, there's two terms that we use when we talk about chords going from one to another. One is called a succession. And a succession of chords is technically what we would call it would be if we have one chord going to another with no real direction. So we succeed from one chord to another, we go from one chord to another. But what we use mostly in our forms of music is what's called a chord progression. And the progression goes from one chord to another with a definite direction. For instance, in the key of G, we'll have a G. We can play that G forever, ad nauseum. We get sick and tired of hearing it. But in the key of G, we can move to C. Now notice we're gaining tension because our focal point still is at that G, but we're at the C. Now I move to a D7, still building tension that needs to be released, and I can go back to the G. That was called a 1-4-5. Now we've talked about these situations before, and this partially may be a review, but partially it'll take us to a different place. The one chord is the chord that's based on the first tone of the scale. In the case of G, it's a G. In the case of G also, in the case of any key, the number one is always a major. The number two chord is what's based on the second tone of the scale. In the case of G, it would be the chord A minor. So what we have is G as a number one, A minor as a number two. Going to a number three, it would be a B, but it also would be a minor. Then the C is a major. That C is a number four, and now remember that's a major, just like the G, and the D is a number five, which is a major also. Number six is an E minor. The number seven is we call it a F diminished. The chord we normally hear is a D7, which is a number 5, but it's a 7. But then we go back to the G. You notice as we moved along, we could kind of hear the scale in that. So we have what we call chord families. G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, back to the D7, G. So notice how we have a progression. The one that we started out with, the 1-4-5, starting on a 1, to the 4, which is a C, to the G, D7, G. That's a common progression. Listen to this. G, that's a number 1. E minor, number 6. C. And this time we're going to use a D7. Back to G. So that's a 6, 4, 5, 1. Now let's do a different one. Let's go to a A minor, D7, G. And that's a 2-5-1. Let's do that again. I love that one. If we needed to, we could change that to different keys. For instance, in the key of C, that 2-5-1. Here's a C, which is the 1. I'm going to a D minor, which is the 2. The 5 is a G7. back to the 1. Once you learn the chords within the keys, each individual key, what we find is that we can easily transpose from one key to another just by knowing in the key of C sharp, what's a number 1? Well, C sharp. What's a number 4? F sharp. What's a number 5? G sharp. So if I needed to play in the key of C sharp, I could easily do that. Transpose from a 1, 4, 5 in the key of C or a key of G or key of D to another key just by knowing the 1s, the 4s, the 5s. 1, 4, 5s are the principal chords. 2, 3, and 6 would be secondary chords. Again, as usual, I have more information on all these things. If you'd like to get more information on chord families, just get in touch with us and we can send you out some information. And by the way, if there's any other things you would like us to cover, any other subjects on Uncle Nick's Corner, I'd be more than happy to take any suggestion you have. But that would be on a basis of similar to suggestions my wife gives me. They're not always followed through, but I take the suggestions anyway. So until next time, we'll see you.
For our next selection, I'll do a song that's considered Texas swing, the old Bob Wills genre. This was done by Asleep at the Wheel, among others. It's called Miles of Texas.
Raised on shrimps and catfish and my mammy's good gumbo. I got that rambling fever, said goodbye to Ma and Pa. Crossed that old Red River and this is what I saw. I saw miles and miles of Texas, all the stars up in the sky. I saw miles and miles of Texas, gonna live there till I die. Jimmy. Cowtown, the cradle of the West. Just ask any cowboy, he'll tell you it's the best. I met a Texas beauty, got friendly with her pa. Looked into them big blue eyes and this is what I saw. I saw miles and miles of Texas, all the stars up in the sky. I saw miles and miles of Texas, gonna live there till I die. Y'all bought it, Mike. I started taming broncos, joined every rodeo. Then I met a tough one, his name was Killer Joe. I grabbed hold of the bridle just to ride that old outlaw. When he threw me to the ground, this is what I saw. I saw miles and miles of Texas, all the stars up in the sky. I saw miles and miles of Texas, gonna live here till I die. How about it, Jimmy? All the stars up in the sky. I saw miles and miles of Texas, gonna live there till I die. Gonna live here
I know this song. It's Trailer for Sale and Rent, right? Welcome everybody to the music show and our instrumental showcase, which is involving a machine that plays drums for you. It's a drum machine. And you might notice, I think this is Trailer for Sale and Rent.
King of the road, actually.
Okay, King of the Road, right. So, okay, guys, let's talk about this a little bit. We can just fade out here. We just thought we'd bring to you something that we hadn't had before. I don't believe quite in this same kind of a unit. And it backs you up in your music instead of a regular drum player. You'd have, and it's called a drum machine?
Yes.
Okay, and this is called a Alesis SR-18. And I guess you originally, I think you might have going to have a drum person playing.
Yeah, but he was preoccupied.
Preoccupied, so you brought in some.
I was thinking of work this morning. I said, I got this thing laying there. I said,
Yeah.
maybe I'll try it out. So
Yeah.
I fiddled around with it, and it seemed to work.
Oh,
Okay.
I
Adequate,
think,
anyway.
Yeah, it certainly does. And maybe you could tell us just a little bit about it.
And it doesn't drink much.
Well, that's helpful. But let's go on to some of the functions of it. I know it does play pretty much anything. It even has a part on it that you can add bass. Did you say it actually has bass?
It's got bass programmed in it. It's got all the different keys. You can actually, if I had time to study up on it, you can actually program the bass and different drum beats.
Mm-hmm.
There's 100 folders in there that you can actually program 100 different songs if you had the time and the wherewithal to do that. All kinds of different beats, from reggae to country to rock and roll to rhythm and blues. It's, like I said, 99 different beats, and the tempos go up to well over 200 beats a minute. So there's all kinds of different variations that you can put together on it.
This particular one does it slow down? Is there a button or something you can push to with a foot switch that you can slow
You
it
could
down?
turn it on and off. You can't slow it down or
down.
speed it up. No.
They do have some that do that, don't they?
Very possible.
I
They got everything nowadays.
They
I'll tell you.
probably do. Maybe you could give us an example. Now, we were playing it, the song you were just playing.
Mm-hmm.
That was King of the Road,
Right.
with the drum.
Mm-hmm.
Try it without the drum, if you guys don't mind, and let's just see how it sounds without, and then maybe you can click it on somewhere when you're ready, and let's see the difference.
All right. 2, 3, 4. Trailers for sale, rooms to rent 50 cents. No phone, no pool, no pets. I ain't got no cigarettes on.
Good. I like it. Now, I think there's a big difference when you have a drum machine behind you.
Especially if you got dancing people.
And if you get people dancing, you got to have it. It almost seems like. But now that didn't have the bass. It had you playing the bass. Could you just show us how that would sound if you?
Absolutely. So where's bass? I think that's it.
Pretty sharp.
You can't program, like I was walking up the scale, but there are different variations on there where it does different things like that. So.
And that can be programmed in.
Yes.
Yeah. They're a lot more sophisticated than they were, say, even 20, 30 years ago.
Absolutely.
So it's
They get something more real all the time.
Right.
A lot of recording, you hear a lot of recording artists actually use electronic drummers. If you listen closely, you can tell that that's not a real drummer. And so, yeah.
Well, do you ever use this yourself? I know that you picked it up for today to use, but do you ever use it on the job?
I do a lot of one-man acts, and those I do. I have programmed, I've got another program that actually in a computer that I can program the bass, the drums, and some lead with steel guitar, all that stuff in there. And sorry, Jim, sorry.
Unbelievable.
Not as good as Jim, but you know, to work as a one-man thing, and you still have a full orchestra experience, but you don't see the people up there. There's nothing as much fun as playing in front of a band. I'll be honest with you. I mean, it's a small party or something like that. It's great, but there's nothing to get the adrenaline pumping like playing in front of a really good band. And I still love doing that. So yeah.
Well, this is something that maybe some of you might be interested in looking at. How old is this? Do you know how old?
I just got it a couple years ago.
Okay, so it isn't that old a unit.
No.
Yeah. Well, I just thought I'd bring this to your attention. Thought you might be interested in seeing how this works, and maybe we can try her again and go out of the program, out of the instrumental showcase with the end of. And can I sing with you?
Sure.
Okay, let's do it. Let's
Do the same song?
Same song.
All right, let me get the bass out of here. I don't want to conflict with it. All right.
Trailers for sale, rooms still at 50 cents. No phone, no booth, no pass. Ain't got no cigarettes, oh, but 2 hours pushing broom. Buys an 8 by 12 4-bedroom mama. Man of means by no means, king of the road. You gotta help me here.
Trailers for sale or rent, rooms still at 50 cents. No phone, no pool, no pets. I ain't got no cigarettes, all but 2 hours
joining us,
of
ladies and gentlemen.
pushing
Come back for another instrumental.
8 by 12.
See you the next show.
Room.
Stay tuned, we got more for you.
Man by means by. This song is done by Ray Price many years ago, and Farron Young and many other old country artists did this song. It's called The Other Woman. This is How's That? Don't accuse me of being without feeling. If you do, then you know that you're wrong. For it was you who was careless, and it was you who drove me to another's arms. The other woman isn't prettier than you, but the other woman soothes my wounded pride. And more important, I feel wanted again. I can't give up the other woman in my life. In the middle of the river, and I can't climb out on either side. If I go over the deep end, sweetheart, it's because you didn't try. The other woman
isn't prettier than you, but the other woman soothes my wounded pride. And more important, I feel wanted again. I can't give up the other woman in my life. I can't give up the other woman in my life.
Welcome everybody to the music show. I'm Ray Braselton, your host.
And I'm Nick Rita, co-host.
And today we have for you, How's That? I would say the traditional country group, How's That? And like to introduce yourself there?
Yes, I'm Rick Howe. I'm Jimmy Steele Duval.
And Jimmy still plays steel.
Pedal steel guitar.
Go figure.
And
How appropriate.
I play bass and sing.
Yep, right. Lead singer.
Yes.
Only singer at this point. But I'm sure you have played and sung with other people before in the group.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
But we have a real nice segment here for you with the group here, and we're going to talk about what you are doing now and talk a little bit about country
Want
music.
to do the
in
mailbag
general.
first?
Yep, we're going to start with the
We'll get that
mailbag.
out of the way.
And the mailbag today was asking the question as to the different types of country music that there are or there have been in the past. So what
One of those labeling things again.
exactly, which Nick loves so much. But we're going to try to pick this up and maybe talk a little bit about it. I guess we can say there's several.
Right.
What would you call them?
Genres.
Genres or
Subgenres.
Subgenres.
Now, and they're probably not always considered the
Lot of
same.
crossover,
Yeah, a
yeah.
lot of crossovers. And a lot of what somebody might call something is somebody else calls something else, right?
Sure.
You guys do
Traditional country.
traditional
Yes.
country, right? That's
Now, what would old country be compared to traditional country?
To me, old country is traditional country.
Okay.
That's to me.
So
it's,
like
it's
Hank
synonymous. Yes.
Hank Williams.
That's
and those
traditional
guys.
country, and anything that replicates that, even new stuff, if it's like that, and
Right.
it's traditional country. You know, I mean,
And just as a kind of like a point of interest, would you name a song as a particular genre, or would you name the style?
the style.
For instance, if somebody took Your Cheating Heart from Hank Williams, that's traditional country.
Yes.
But if they upgraded that, they could take that out of the traditional country and put it into a more modern setting and change the genre.
Put a different arrangement, I suppose.
Right,
They probably
right.
could, yeah.
Right, so,
Yeah.
Yeah, they could do. I'm sure that I don't know if we would do it, but it could be done.
even some of the more modern runs probably cross over a little easier.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah. Mostly, it's electronic instruments they use. I think more. Traditional country was pretty much, you know, acoustic and very minimal electrical. In fact, is the Grand Ole Opry for decades. I think in the '70s they even started allowing to have drums on it. You know, it just didn't happen. You know, I mean, that's how conservative they are about what they want on there. So, but it just like everything else, it just progresses.
Right.
The kids, the kids that grew up listening to Dad's Chet Atkins albums and what have you, learned to play guitar, and then they went off and did their own thing and the rock and roll, and they come back to Nashville, like Vince Gill was an example of that,
Right.
and got immersed in the country music, but he brought those flavors that he got picked up in other places, played with Pure Prayer League and different ones. And a lot of those did that. Desert Rose Band, they started out with, what was his name, Chris Hillman?
Yes.
He started out with Vern Gosdin, and some of them grew up and became the Byrds. Vern Gosdin stayed country, but they all grew up together and worked together. They all often did their thing and come back to country, playing in a group called the Desert Rose Band, with had a little different twist to what they were doing. It brought all these new studios came up. You know, they used to be just one or two studios, RCA, and they had the Nashville sound back in the '60s. Well, they kind of separated out and got different studios having different ideas about ways of doing things. So it just evolved from that. I guess.
You know, I find sometimes there are some people that I don't know how to explain it, but they really do not like other types of country, and they're adamant against it. Now, I don't know, personally myself, I think there's a lot of good in all the different styles. Sure. But I have found that where people, I never would play, I hate that kind of this country today or whatever, I've heard that. But I know your group, another group that you work with a lot, and you've been on the show before, Ghostwriters, you do a pretty good mixture, don't you?
We try to do a good mixture. It's what our fans want to hear, and it's danceable stuff. They like to dance, and some of the newer songs, the contemporary country music is good for that, and they're familiar with those songs and how the dances go that they make for them. So yeah, we do some contemporary country, but we're more of a hardcore old country, traditional country with a little outlaw sound in it, a little more freewheeling, old style, old thought, old school.
See, we all grew up playing in places where they dance. That was our purpose for being there.
Sure.
When I was younger in the '70s, I used to get criticized by the old guys I worked with, because I was doing traditional country and I liked it and I enjoyed doing it, but I would be doing things like Jimmy Croce, Neil Diamond, stuff like that to bring younger people in, because if you come in and hear country music, you'll like it. They had a mindset, they didn't like it.
Sure.
Well, I'd come in and listen to it. So we'd bring them in, and I many times heard, I don't like country music. I heard you guys do it because you never listened. That's why.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
But,
well, and then there's Western, old Western country music. Now, that would be again Roy Rogers and
Sons
of the Pioneers.
Even Marty Robbins did gunfighter ballads and what have you.
Sure.
Plus he did mainstream country. Tex Ritter.
Tex Ritter.
With the Singing Ranger was Hank Snow. He did some Western flavored stuff too.
And that would be the campfire with the horses and the
Gene
whole thing. Gene Autry.
Cowboy poetry is still very popular
Yes.
in the West.
What would Jimmy Rogers? Where would he be in that?
The late and great Jimmy Rogers. He's kind of the pioneer of traditional country. He was probably the first recording artist that recorded, what was pure country music, yodeling and different things. And a lot of the music that even Hank Williams came on and Ernie Tubbs stemmed from that. He was kind of the seed that kind of started that.
So we'd say Western music is almost the beginning of a lot of country music.
Oh, I'm sure.
Western.
There's a lot of
how does bluegrass fit into that? Really doesn't fit into that, does it? Or
well, bluegrass is another kind. I always call bluegrass the jazz of country music. Bob Wills too, the swing era. He was a country band that was competing with Benny Goodman and those people, but he had a Texas swing, which it kind of it competed with that. And I forgot what we were talking about.
That happens on the show quite often.
So anyway, but bluegrass is kind of like, it's all really fast-picking improvisational music. It's sort of like jazz. I always call it the jazz of country music. These guys really, like Ricky Skaggs, probably the best there is in that genre of the new kids. I mean, the old timers from Kentucky. Bill Monroe actually coined the phrase bluegrass music because it came from Kentucky. But it's just different. It's more, that is extremely traditional because we're out of the mountains, and it's very acoustic. There's no such thing as an electric instrument in that. At least there wasn't.
To get to Bela Fleck. Now he took bluegrass and he went and he does bluegrass but in a different direction. So and all these things that stem away from
embellish. There's the roots of everything come out of the hills of Tennessee.
Well,
take them.
Just because we have to wrap on this, it's Western. There's
traditional country,
contemporary country,
bluegrass,
country rock. They call it.
Southern rock.
Southern rock. Okay.
Skinner,
but I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea, the flavor of country, different flavors of country, and I think that's the best job we've ever done. I think in explaining
maybe so
that. Yeah. So, but now, if you, I gotta forget, if you do want to write in and give us some more questions,
we would encourage you to do so. Please.
We certainly would.
Yes.
You can write in. It's right there at the bottom of your screen.
Yeah.
Our email, our website.
We ain't scared of any question, are we?
Not us. No. We're tough men.
Yeah. Real heated.
Okay, so, but
Easy, though.
but you guys, I really must say that it was really, because I love all my groups that come on the show. I'm enthusiastic about all of my. I've always been that way here on the show, but you guys touched my heart with some of the stuff, because I did feel a little Western music, and I love that old Western when I was a kid. I used to listen to, and my brother in Colorado loves that, and I'm sending this show to him. He loves it, but your music is pretty tame. I mean, it is pretty. It's not a real rock type country at all. And what kind of venues do you see yourself playing in a lot with this group, with this particular group? Would it be? I'm sure you do like clubs and things like that, because I saw you at a club, and that's where I got you from. But in fact, it was Sandra's in Rochester. We want to mention her because she's a sweetheart, and she really praised you guys when you were there. But she's in Rochester, right?
Yes.
Yeah. What road
Smith
is that?
Street.
Smith Street.
Right off of Lake.
Right.
Over on the west
Lyle.
side?
Near Lyle. Yeah.
Okay.
But she
North
hosts.
of Kodak office.
Yeah.
Actually.
She hosts a lot of the country groups there. But what other kind of places can I say that and I don't care what kind of places. I know you said you do some small one-man venues yourself.
Yes, I
and what can you give us?
Retirement home. There's one particular in Mount Morris, Murray Hill. I played for 10 years. I get on there once a month and entertain them. I play. A couple weeks ago, I played at the Elks Club out in Brockport. I'm playing the Willow up on Manitou Road in Braselton Bay.
Do you do like campground places and stuff? Or
I
is
have.
That,
I've not
yeah, I was going to
lately,
say, is that something that I know Ghost Rider's is a little bit different type of band, but
We
have
still,
you done?
oh yeah, we've done campgrounds. And,
You have done.
Oh
campgrounds,
sure,
Yeah.
yeah, several in the area. Yeah.
Are there any venues in and around the Rochester area that are dedicated to country?
Just about one.
Just the one, right? There used to be one over on, I forget where it was, way over on the west side.
That would have been Dino's in Churchville, maybe.
Oh,
I played there
I-
for 10 years.
Had you?
I was
Right, yeah.
I was there from about a year and a half after I got out of the service until the mid '80s.
Are they still doing anything there? Not, they're all.
No.
So a lot of them have
And
closed.
there's not much.
Yeah.
So are we saying that Sandra's is one of the only places?
Oh, I know about.
In
I know
the-
you
in
play
the
out in Buffalo
city.
and stuff like that, but in
Casinos,
Batavia,
they have different groups come into the
Country, we're talking.
country and also other genres of music playing at the casinos for a variety. And of course the Moose Clubs, Elks Clubs, other private clubs and parties. We've done some weddings. We're doing more anniversaries now than weddings,
Yeah.
but we've got a wedding coming up this summer.
I played a couple class reunions, and we got one coming up now, 50 years.
Well, I did catch you with your group over at the no, not Batavia.
Finger
it was,
Lakes.
Finger Lakes over there at the casino, or what's it, gaming they call it.
Yes.
And just to get a feel of what kind of places and
So also, if there's any people who have venues out there, wouldn't you like to get them interested in having more country and
Yes.
spread it
Absolutely.
around?
Be wonderful.
I remember before there used to be half a dozen places where people would go. There was one over on Lyle Avenue.
Oh yeah, there's Nashville North. There was Crescendo Lounge. There was the Country Square. When I first got out of the service and started singing around, I'm from the southern tier, from Nunde, New York, but I started out playing down around Canisius Lake and places. But gosh, every corner seemed like I had a country band in
had a
it,
country
you know.
band.
and,
but does it seem like it might be on an upswing now?
I don't know. What do you think?
Not as far as bars go. No. The outdoor festivals, gazebos. We do some festivals, firemen's carnivals, that sort
Right.
of thing.
Okay, you do
Keeps
those
us
kind of
busy,
things,
and we continue to get those jobs year after year.
Well, I want to mention that we're missing Mike.
Yeah.
Mike Deidre, and both you and Mike have been on our show before, and
That's
we
right,
always
yeah.
appreciate you coming back so you can help us with some of the camera work and the moving of the chairs. So, no, because we enjoy you, because we enjoy having you so much. We want to thank you, Rick, for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you. I guess it was a good suggestion, Jimmy. Thank you. He's good.
Thanks,
I
Jim.
really enjoyed
All right,
it.
anytime.
And we
Rick,
think
before we close, too, one
Yes.
of the things I got to compliment you on, I used to play in a band. I played bass, and they wanted me to sing backup. I could never sing and play bass at the same time. Did you find that difficult when you first started out, or did it just come natural to you?
I didn't exactly come natural. I worked. It was kind of a fluke. I started doing that. I played in a little band. There's 3 pieces, and I was just a singer and playing acoustic. And the bass player come in, whoopee-eyed one too many times, and they fired him. And he says, "We got to find a new bass player." I says, "Give me a try." So I went out and bought a bass that week, and I sat with Ray Price albums all week long and learned how to play walking bass and sing at the same time. It took some work, but I got there. And next week I played, and I've been doing it ever since.
The coordination is a little bit different than if you're strumming a guitar.
I'm always getting accused of sounding like Willie Nelson. I don't sound like him, but he plays guitar and sings. I play bass. I think it's our phrasing. Because of that, your concentration is divided, so you tend to sing a little different, you phrase a little different, perhaps. I don't know, that's why I hope I don't sound like.
Well,
pretty cool. Anyway.
That's not a bad thing.
You sound very good. And I just want to mention that if anybody was interested in either of these guys, I'm sure you'd get it out to Jim if they needed him. But you do a lot of private parties and you do a lot of single jobs. Yes. Could you give us a website and email, or just email and phone number or something so that they want to get? You don't have any? I know you have lots of CDs, but Jimmy, you and your, but you haven't gotten a CD out yet. No. It's coming, though. It's coming. It's gonna. We're gonna make sure we get CDs out for you. But you want to give us at least some contact numbers.
Yes, I live in Brockport, Rick Howe, 395-9233. That's a 8585 number. And my email address is krhowe@frontiernet.net.
Okay. Give us the phone number one more time.
395-9233.
Okay.
Mike will put that on the screen, won't he?
Yeah, be right there. You'll see it, everybody. So we want to thank you guys very, very much for joining us. It was a great, I enjoyed it so much.
I'd like to thank Jimmy for helping me out.
Yeah,
anytime, buddy.
Hey, buddy. Thank you. Appreciate it. Again, Jimmy.
Thank you.
When are you coming back?
Just as soon as you let me know. I think.
Well, you are coming back.
Yeah, in a month. I'll be back here in a month.
We'll see you in a month with Ghost Riders. So, everybody, want to say goodbye to everybody? Mike, I got a bad voice today. You say goodbye. Okay.
See you. Take care. We'll see you again.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Our next selection is a song written by Bob McDill and Don Williams. They co-hoarded on this one. It's a Western type song called "She's in Love with a Rodeo Man." She's a barmaid in a West Texas dance hall. She works every night till they close. The cowboys put songs in the jukebox, and she plays San Antonio Road. I can tell her life ain't been easy. The lines on her face say it all. She's still a beautiful woman in the lights of the Texas dance hall. And she won't sit down at your table. You know that she won't hold your hand. She won't go home with you, cowboy. She's in love with a rodeo man. He's scarred and he's graying, and he's stoned most all of the time. And he drinks in a dark corner table, and he waits there until closing time. She won't sit down at your table. You know that she won't hold your hand. She won't go home with you, cowboy. She's in love with
She won't sit down at your table, and you know that she won't hold your hand. She won't go home with you, cowboy. She's in love with a road